Well, hey, Courtney. Good to see you.
Hey, good to see you.
You've been traveling all over and back from DC recently.
Yes, that was my first time there. So
Oh,
I had high expectations,
exciting.
but it wasn't really. I tell people when I got to DC, I was a little underwhelmed. I don't know what I expected, but it does feel like you walk into just a huge monument. You just walk into
Yeah,
history.
that's
You know
true
what I
from what I
mean? Like
remember.
now,
Yeah.
yeah, now that's the vibe I get when I'm there. And then I was saying, I feel like as I was in Washington, each place I went felt like a different city I've been to. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? I'm from New Orleans, so I felt I hit a part where I was, this is very New Orleans like. I
Okay.
got to a part where I was, this is very Austin like, and this feels very Dallas like. And I was like, well, what
Oh,
is that's the whole meaning of Washington? It is the country's capital, right?
wouldn't that
Like,
be fitting? That would. Okay.
it doesn't, it probably should feel like every place you go across America. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I really
I
want to
came up
get
with
back
that.
there. I have not been there since I was a kid, and now I think I could really appreciate the museums and
Yes.
stuff. So I'm glad to
Mhm.
have your advice there. Before we jump in, do you
Yes.
want to do some background and share with everybody about yourself
Yeah.
and your company and then this trip and all
Yes.
that stuff?
Yeah. So first of all, my name is Cortney Ketchum. And almost 3 years ago, I started a company called the Review Mediator. And the main goal was, it's evolved over time, big time. But the main goal at first was to help businesses fight back against fake reviews or illegitimate reviews, they call them sometimes, reviews for different businesses and things like that. But as I got into the industry, I started to realize it, and I have to really be grateful for clients that have come my way because
Yeah.
they changed the direction of the business and they opened me up more to disputes all across the internet, right? So it went from, can you help us with our online reviews to, hey, do you do social media? And do you do AI? And do you do forums and things like that? And so I realized we were bigger than a reputation management company,
Okay.
and that industry is just flooded. So I said, we are more of an online dispute resolution company. So we're helping people fight back against digital online harm. And that's what we are today. And what that looks like is it could be a parent who is looking to figure out a way to report cyberbullying against their child, report a pedophile trying to groom their child, right? Or some type of deep fake that was put up about their child. It could be a business who is fighting against corporate impersonation, right? It could be an institution. We're having conversations with the World Health Company and different hospitals about how people are putting up fake videos and pictures of their doctors and videos of their health companies, right?
Really?
So yes, so it's
Gosh.
getting wider. The more work we it's getting wider and wider. And what we realize is coming into the dispute resolution business, we've come across some roadblocks, but you really have to, it varies by country, right? When you're looking
Yeah.
at this industry, the best way to look at it is you have to break it up by country. Each country has this one big issue. How do we control online digital harm? That's the one common issue they have when it comes to the internet. Is
Okay.
it's gotten out of control. How do we record it?
Yeah.
Now, how they all go about it, completely different. The EU has the Digital Services Act
Okay.
in place, right? So they've put dispute resolution bodies in place that say if you put something online, it's against policies, it's against the law, it has to come down. Plain and simple, none of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
America, on the other hand, completely different,
Yeah.
whole nother beast.
Well, as we
Right?
know, the EU is
So,
much more proactive about regulation making.
yeah,
The United States is much more reactive, which
it's
both have
much more.
their benefits and then their drawbacks, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that we've seen coming into this, especially working with our own country, is we didn't notice how deep we would have to go into policy, which leads me into the Washington trip, right? That's what that was about, is speaking to legislators and congressmen and people that are at different institutes who deal with policy. And when I tell you that opened my eyes up to, because I never was really connected to policy or what Congress was doing around policy, but it
Yeah.
really, this business opened my eyes up to how, I hate to say the word sleep, but it's the best way I could describe it. How sleep the American people are on policy and
Oh,
how certain policies affect our everyday lives. And one of those things came about for me was tech policy, right? And one of the biggest policies we have in this country is called the US Law Section 230. Have you heard of that? You've heard of that, I
I've
think.
been in tech a bit, so I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
basically the law
So
that
it's,
protects everybody and has since the beginning of the internet, right?
yeah.
Because the idea is that the platforms, they don't have any liability because they're just hosting the
Mhm.
content. But I think
There you go.
from my perspective, I don't think that's actually truthful anymore once algorithms came into play and
Mhm.
driving people seeing more content versus less. Once they put their
Yeah.
fingers on that scale, I don't think that protection applied anymore, but it's still in effect, right?
Yeah, big time. So it's, so one of the biggest things is they're all legislators, people from different states, policy people from different, they all have their idea. California has its own law,
Yeah.
Massachusetts has its own law, Florida, Louisiana, you name it, Texas has its own law.
Yeah.
And so it's created a bigger mess of laws,
But don't you
right?
think that's because the federal government is slower to move, so then the states can move more
Absolutely.
quickly, and so that's where you start.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
then if the federal government comes and says, trump all that,
Yeah, exactly, then it'll all get
yeah.
standardized, basically.
So
Yeah,
I think, so part of that was when we went there, it was to hear more of the conversation around who's doing what
okay.
and what framework does this business fit into.
Mm,
And everybody has a different framework. And the common thing I kept hearing was, how do we come up with a framework that doesn't trample on the First Amendment, right?
yeah.
Freedom of speech, freedom of expression,
So
things
before we
like that.
dive into that part though, okay, do you think the AI is what's accelerating this, or do you think it's just finally working its way through the system, or both?
Um, I'm going to say AI is accelerating it.
Interesting. Okay.
I'm going to say that. And I'm going to say that because it's not that parents and school teachers and things like that hadn't noticed that this was an issue.
Agreed.
It did. AI came along and it just blew it out the water. Now I can make something in 2 seconds. I
Yeah.
don't have to go and write a fake review. I can tell ChatGPT to do it for me real quick and we post it, right? I could tell anything, just bang them out. Hey, give me a list of 30 negative reviews. Their
Yeah.
feedback. I can
Yeah.
take that and post it across. You know what I mean?
Plus, too, they can scrape
Um,
your picture from anywhere and put it on a nude body
absolutely.
and put it on a
Yep.
porn site. And because that
Yeah.
actually happened to a friend of mine. And but
Yep.
that's been going on for 4 or 5 years now, at least.
Yep. Yep.
And
So it's,
she wasn't able to find any way to deal with it other than just
mhm.
continue to request it come down.
And you know what sucks about that, which is still the problem, and that's why we're having the conversation, is still to this day, I could show you right now a
Mm.
fake review that we've reported won't come down. Videos that have went viral causing harm won't come down, right? So a part of this whole thing has been, how do we slow down the harm? It was already a problem, but
Yeah.
we kind of put it on the back burner. We'll address it in the next administration or next this.
Plus, it got politicized, didn't it?
Plus,
I don't remember if it was the left or the right, but one side was pro for it and the other one was against. And of course, technology, Silicon
mhm.
Valley now has what the biggest lobbying group
Yeah,
in terms of
yeah,
dollars in Washington.
big
So
time.
it's in their
So I can
interest
tell
for
you,
that not to happen. Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up because
Yep.
when you ask if AI is what moved it forward, I'm going to change my answer to
Okay.
that. Politics moved it forward.
Oh,
You're absolutely right.
how's
We
that?
do that when you do the research on what happened. There was a conversation where the Trump administration says that platforms were silencing the speech
Yeah.
of other people that were for their campaign or for their administration,
Oh, yeah, I
right?
remember that. Okay. Yes.
That's what that side of the aisle said. The other side of the aisle said that platforms were allowing people to threaten people, to send out, you know what I mean, to trouble them, to put things up about them. And they also said that they silenced speech for them, right?
Okay.
And Trump got banned from
Twitter?
X for a while
Yeah.
when, Twitter at the time,
Yep.
when Dorsey had it, right?
Yeah, for
So
Christ.
he already had a vendetta out about that.
Yeah.
So when it came to it, I was like, it is the only thing that they both agree on. Is that what are we gonna do
Of all
about the
things.
platform? Yeah, because we both have an issue with how they're operating. So
Oh my gosh, I got to insert a joke real quick. So you can imagine all the old people in DC going, what are we going to do about the internet? Because that's what they say.
The internet.
Sorry. I love it when my parents
love that.
refer to it that way. And you're just like, oh, that's so cute.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's, I think when he came back in office, then it became, okay, I'm going to get you that kind of thing.
Okay.
But they both agreed on, we have a
We got
to figure something. We
Okay.
have a problem.
Okay.
On top of that, tech platforms expected that when he came back in office, he'd have their backs.
Did you see who was at
Section 230.
inauguration?
Oh. So it really,
And they
honestly,
contributed greatly. So yeah, I can see why they
exactly.
would
That's
expect
why
that.
I
Yeah.
thought so much. I was on the side of it. I was like, there's no way they're going to put in legislation.
Yep.
There's no way they're going to mess with this now, right? But he has set completely silent about what's happening with that law,
Interesting.
which it shocked me. But then when I thought about it, I was like, it affected him. So he really doesn't care. And now Musk seems to be a casualty of that, right? But he also has the most problematic platform.
How is Musk a
Look
casualty?
at that. Meaning that he put all the money in the campaign, right? That's his buddy, that's his best friend. You would think that he would step in because of him, specifically, right? I'll step in, I'll help because of him.
Sure.
He's not
Didn't
doing
play
anything.
out that way.
It did not play out that way. So anyway, they're having a lot of conversation about changing the laws, and who has benefited from that is a lot of parents who have been reporting these issues, have been talking about these issues, who have been saying that social media is destroying our children. They're giving them anxiety, causing them to kill themselves. So finally, these people are able to speak on Capitol Hill and in front of these people who are writing these laws to say something has to change.
So are they having hearings, or have they had hearings, or what's the kind of current status?
Oh, they're consistently having hearings.
Okay.
They're consistently, the biggest loser in this has been Meta. There are a lot of judges who have let lawsuits go through against them versus a TikTok, versus a Snapchat. And I think it's because Meta took a long time to concede. They took a long time to say, you know what, maybe we should just go ahead, pay this person off, go ahead, settle this issue. They went through very pridefully, whereas TikTok and Snapchat started paying people off.
Okay.
Now, Meta called itself standing its ground. And because of that, a judge in New Mexico gave him its biggest lawsuit that they won, right? Another judge just did a lawsuit that somebody else won. So he's not winning right now in that situation. So around the bigger kind, to bring it back to Section 230, a lot of people are saying you need to do a full Section 230 repeal, right? That's scary to people. And then some people just say, we just need to do Section 230 reform, right? Let's make some things.
Let's talk about the first one. We game theory this, repeal plays out that they're then subject to all the other liability laws.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what's a comparable business though? How would you even?
So they feel like this, if they repeal it, then the smaller companies, the smaller social media companies won't withstand litigation because they don't have the dollars that a bigger social media company has, right? So they feel like we can't just completely do a blanket repeal.
Okay.
Now, as far as reform, there are a few legislators who have come about to say, let's look at giving you Section 230 immunity based on you meeting these criterias, right?
None of
And if
those
you don't meet
include your
these,
algorithm is not tipping the scales in terms of what people see?
it may, but I can
Okay.
tell you one of them is they feel like platforms don't give people enough information on what they collect, what they do with it. And if I decide that I'm going to leave TikTok's platform, then I get to leave with all of my data. You don't get to keep it. Does that make sense?
But
That's
it doesn't really affect the core problem as I perceive
it
it.
doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So there
because it's more also, we know that you can disclose, and everybody scrolls
yeah.
and clicks the box just to get through the thing. That's
Yeah.
that's just a cover your butt CYA type of approach if you ask me, but
Absolutely,
I could see
absolutely.
them trying to
And
go that route. Yeah.
I think for me, and I've talked to someone about this, one of the things that they mentioned was, again, immunity based on you meeting certain criterias, right?
Yeah.
So take for instance, America just dropped a law called the Take It Down Act,
Okay.
right? And it's for non-consensual intimate imagery that is posted online of someone. If I'm that person you posted it about, and I reach out to Google and say, hey, this is me, here's a link, take it down. Google has 48 hours to remove that. If they don't, they get fined $53,000 per day per violation,
Remove it
right?
from what though? The search engine?
Remove it from their search engine, wherever it appears. If it appears on Google and Google doesn't remove it, they get fined. If it
Yeah,
appears on TikTok, Snapchat, wherever it appears,
but
if you
Google can't control what TikTok is hosting, so all they can do is remove the reference to it, right?
yeah, so it
Okay.
this is another thing I've learned.
Okay.
They are not apart. When you think of them, Google is Google, TikTok is they are very well connected, right? So they are able to, I forgot the name of it. I'll have to get the name of it. But
Okay.
when I send something to Google, Google has the ability to cross-reference that with
Mhm.
other sites, right? So even though Google takes it down, Google still has to send a message in there. I'm doing all the hand things, but in their combined community to say, we've take this down. This thing has a tag. If that same tag number is on Snapchat, TikTok, and wherever else, it should also come down, right? But Google has fulfilled its priority of removing it on their site, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, but does then Google then have to, like, filter that information to wherever they served it up from? And then it becomes that company's the subsequent
Hmm.
company responsibility to also remove it?
Absolutely.
Okay, I wasn't
Absolutely.
aware of
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
relationship. Okay, that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So Google can say, we took care of our part within the 48 hours we made it.
Yeah.
It went on to TikTok and Snapchat, wherever else this person said this appeared, right? Wherever this tag is showing up, the next sites are supposed to remove it, right?
Okay.
But you get the 48 hours when you're notified, right? So once TikTok is notified, the 48-hour clock starts, right? So anyway, I said that to say there is the person who's thinking about a law where you get conditional immunity.
Mhm.
She's saying, let's set up something where if you don't follow this, if you don't take this content down, if it violates a policy, if it violates the local laws, and you don't remove it, then you get ticks on your card, balance, whatever,
Mhm.
for removal of immunity. So say that person comes back and say, or somebody comes back and say, they didn't remove it. I contacted them about this and they didn't remove it. Well, you have no more Section 230 immunity because you haven't been keeping up with removing content you're supposed to remove anyway, right? But if you've been doing it in good faith, taking care of business, you have your teams handling what they're supposed to handle, they call it in good faith,
Yeah.
then you'll have the ability to claim Section 230 immunity. Does that make sense?
It does. It's like a whole scoring system. It's almost like bank ratings with the Federal
Yeah.
Reserve.
So
So
we
then you
come
open up,
in,
like, auditing and all sorts of
yeah,
that would
there
have to
you
come
go.
into play. Okay.
So our business comes in place when I was talking to this woman, where we put ourselves in the framework is that you already know platforms can no longer be trusted to moderate their own content. They can't. that trust has failed. Like I said, I have the data here to show it's failed a ton of other
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
right? So there has to be,
Like, wait
and
a
this
minute,
is
I
even a
didn't they,
thing.
like didn't Meta, like, get rid of most of its content moderation team a few
Exactly.
years
Well,
ago?
now, yeah.
Okay.
So now they're trying to rely on AI,
Oh, did it
which,
automatically do it?
yeah, which
Speaking of
creates an even more
AI,
problem.
yeah, so since okay, Google, right? They're like the giant for the
Mhm.
internet, but as people are using Claude and ChatGPT more to, like, search and bypassing Google, do
Mhm.
they have the same responsibility to take stuff down?
So that's funny. You should ask that. So that's
Probably an
another part of
uncharted
this, right?
territory, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so it's another part of why the issue of this started to get bigger
Okay.
was because they really started to struggle to think, should we, the same way that tech platforms, Facebook, Google, all those guys were able to get under the umbrella of Section 230,
Yeah.
should we give AI that ability to get under that umbrella as well?
It's probably
Well,
already
they
there.
made a, yeah, they made a distinction. They made a
Oh,
distinction
okay.
of um, Google, YouTube, Snapchat, TikTok. That is user generated content.
Okay.
But the Chat GPTs, the Anthropics, all of those, that content is put together by them. Does that make sense? Right? They train those algorithms. They create it so that it can give an output. Those aren't, that's not necessarily to them a user
I think
push
that's I think
system.
that's an appropriate treatment. What I think is interesting and where I think part of this is gonna go is AI personhood at some point, and they're already having
Mhm.
some of these discussions because
Yeah.
an AI becomes its own entity almost. Should we treat it as such? I think that's where this
Mhm.
is gonna end up from a legal
Yep.
perspective and liability and all that, but
Yeah.
yeah. Plus, AI is gonna be able to start transacting on behalf of people, buying things
Mhm.
and,
Yeah.
so that's
Yeah.
a whole can of worms.
So
Okay.
yeah, it is. And one of the big things that came about, I had to get her name, but this lawyer, I believe she's out in California, and she was one of the first ones to try a social media platform and win the argument, win the
Okay.
case.
Okay.
How she won that case is she did some really good research on how do I get around Section 230,
Hmm.
right? Because it's such a tight law, you know? How do I get around Section 230? Well, she studied the law and she realized that if I file a lawsuit against a platform and claim that their product design is what causes harm, then I possibly can win this case.
Mm.
So then it's called product liability. Well,
Uh-huh.
she took it all the way up, I think, to the Supreme Court. She got it far and won the case. And it took a minute, but everybody stepped back and was like, wait a minute. So you can charge the platform to get around Section 230. You can say that your product design, meaning your algorithm, was the cause of the harm to this person,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So if I go online and I see something about suicide and I accidentally click the suicide, or I just curiously click what this person is talking about, what do you think my feed is going to start feeding me?
Correct.
Suicide, so, right?
Yes.
So then your product design has caused an issue to this person who eventually takes their lives
Yeah.
because that's the product that they're constantly getting fed.
Yeah.
So that goes to young girls and beauty products. That goes to, anything, whatever, people who have an eating disorder,
Mm.
whatever. So it was interesting because now every lawyer is using the product design um,
Approach.
case and they're winning.
Yeah.
They're winning. So that also made them push to change Section 230 because our platforms are going, God dang it, we aren't able to hide behind that umbrella
The
anymore.
floodgates are open, I guess.
The floodgates are open.
Uh,
So it's interesting because there's a girl on Instagram who reached out to us not too long ago, and there are people who have created impersonation accounts of her.
mm.
Not only, and when they created the impersonation accounts, they go to her real account They take her content
Uh-huh.
and put it on the impersonation account.
Yeah.
And then they talk about her, on the impersonation account. Oh, look at her. She's dirty. She's da 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 da. Right? Well, then what do you think people are doing? They're building an idea of who this girl is. Eventually builds into hate. Nobody can stand her. Well, then her house gets broken into
Mhm.
and
She
people
starts
steal
getting
her stuff
and doxing.
and
Yep,
doxing. So
yep.
as she's reporting this account, Meta decides that they're going to take her account down.
Wait a minute, was
And
it Meta or was it their AI?
it's yeah, right? Exactly. They might try to start hiding behind that, right? So
I can just hear
they
it now. I can hear
yeah,
it now. It was a
exactly.
mistake of the AI. We've retrained it.
Exactly. And she's filed reports after reports after reports and reports. It's clearly an impersonation account. They know this, right? They've stopped monetize. They don't even monetize her account. They take down her stuff, even though there are people who make similar posts with bikinis and things like that. I mean, it's almost like she's not only being bullied by the other people who are impersonating her, but she's being bullied by
Punished.
the platform.
Punished.
And
Yeah,
the decision makers behind it, whether it's the AI, but this is actually moderators who aren't following the law and their policies, right?
yeah,
And so that's just an example of the type of harm that's being allowed on platforms, right?
yeah.
And for us, when we were having this conversation, when I was talking to people in Washington, a lot of my conversation was about neutrality, right? Is to say we have no right, we're for right, we're for right and wrong at the end of the day.
Yeah,
If your policy says this, you have to stick to your policies, right?
yeah.
If the local law says this, you have to stick to the local law. You
Okay.
can't just, for the last 30 years, platforms have been able to, if I want to moderate it, I'll moderate it. If I don't, I don't. I'll move it if I want to. We don't
What
have to.
what were do you know for the last however many years what that approach was? Was it just arbitrary or whatever got the attention or what was do you know?
To get something removed,
When they would and would not moderate?
a lot of times, it's just, you can't really tell. It's just, it's hard for me to say
So it
because
probably
there's
was
a lot of,
arbitrary. It probably wasn't
yeah,
like a logical approach or yeah.
yeah, there wasn't. I mean, it had to be blatant. It had to be something that either got attention,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Um, and if it didn't get attention, you'd have to spend the next 6 months to a year trying to fight the platforms to remove it,
Yeah.
no matter how times you report. I mean, I have clients like that now
Yeah.
that we've reported over and over, made a case, have police reports, all the things, and they still haven't removed the content.
Wow.
So when I was talking to the person in Washington, she said to me, um, she said, I love what you're doing. I love the idea. And I really believe you could be a part of the framework. She said, I think that the First Amendment is what we have to be careful about, right? You can't you can't trample on people's First Amendment. She said, but you're in the right direction that we have to hold platforms accountable for doing what they're supposed to do, even what their stated policy says that they're going to do. So,
Does that put you in a unique position? Because you've
yeah.
kind of come to this from a very or what I would describe as an organic background. And interesting too that you started out with B2B,
Yeah.
resolution things, and now it's really expanded into consumer and just pretty much everybody,
Mhm.
businesses. So you probably have a unique perspective, which is why I love talking to you. So
Yeah.
what do you think? Where do you see it going? Do you have any ideas on the best, like if you were going to design a framework to handle this, where would you start?
um, Definitely explaining to Congress that we aren't trying to trample on the First Amendment, right? Because I say that because it meant so much for them to mention that to me. So that part of the framework always has to stay intact because it makes America unique,
Yeah.
right? We're it's not the only country that allows freedom of speech, freedom of expression, right? So I would start there to say we're not looking at trampling on freedom of speech. But what we do have to do is start getting it a handle on violent content that's on our platforms. And how we do that is we put a dispute resolution body in place that says if there's content on a platform that is harmful to you or someone you know, you have the ability to not only report it to the platform, if you don't feel that like the platform is going to act, you have the right to report it to a dispute resolution body who has the authority to reach out to that platform to explain why it needs to come down. And if they still choose not to take it down, then you have the right to sue, or you have the right to move forward in the next step, right? And I think that's where we fit in all of this is to give platforms an opportunity to, in good faith, do what they're supposed to do as it relates to online harm. But
Mhm.
if they still refuse to also say they cannot, they can't keep operating like this, right? We have to put some guardrails around what they do. And I think the best way to do that is to give people a middle ground, right?
Yeah.
It can't just be this or that.
I think that middle ground is the problem because, I mean, if you take it out of the digital context, it's like what defamation and libel cases
Yeah,
where that comes to head to head with the First Amendment.
yeah.
And I don't know where that line is, and it probably varies depending on the circumstances of each situation. So I guess it'd be the same in the digital context. Do you think?
It would. I think it would.
Okay.
I think it somewhat would. I'll give you. This is funny. When I was doing this work, and I was just focused on online reviews, Italy passed a law that you can write a review about a business, right? But to crack down on fake reviews, you have to prove you were actually a customer at that business. So, you know how sometimes you go to places and
Like
they're
a
like, you want a
receipt?
receipt?
Yeah.
Yeah, you want a receipt? And you're like, no, I'm good. I don't need a receipt.
Uh-huh.
What, but if later you're unsatisfied with that company or that business,
Yeah.
you can't then go and go, I went and I picked, you can't just go freely write it. You have to provide proof. You have to upload a screenshot. Show me your receipt. Show me who you are and that you actually experience this business. Now, to some, it looks like, oh my God, that is just an overreach and way too much. And, if I want to give an opinion, whatever. But
Well,
in
but,
a
like, I
sense,
can see that the enforcement burden might be high unless there's some tool that just automatically scans the receipt and lets the thing approve or get
I
posted.
imagine there's a tool that scans that receipt.
But
It's
then you could
automatically
easily,
approved.
like, fake a receipt too, I think.
Absolutely.
So,
Again,
okay.
you can, but who is really going to that level? There can probably be a small few
Yeah,
who's
I
going
mean,
to that level to
really have
say,
to have, like, a vendetta.
yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
right? So, um,
You know
the
what? That may not
framework,
happen in the restaurant world, but I can see that happening in the interpersonal land when people are
yeah,
really, like, trying to get somebody, you think?
yeah, I do. And I think, honestly, when I looked at it, I was like, okay, at least they're doing something,
Yeah, yeah, of course.
right? At
Great place to
least they're
start.
putting exactly,
Yeah,
right? So they'll have to refine it.
yeah,
Because how do you know unless you put something in place and start working it to know where you need to fix it, right? At least they put something in place. At least the EU has something in place, right? They're doing something. And I think for us, nobody is on everybody has their opinion about which way we should go.
mhm,
But we have to start putting something in place now and start building on, okay, this is what we liked about what we rolled out. This is what we done.
yeah.
But we haven't done that. So every state across this country is coming up with different legislation that doesn't match the other state. you know,
Okay, can you give me,
there's
like, a
no there's
lay
no copy paste.
yeah, for those of us that aren't as informed as you are, can you give
Yeah.
us, like, a lay of the land of, like, the 2 extremes and kind of in between on what you're seeing with the states?
So Texas has what's called the Traeger Act. And basically what that is if you are going to come to the state of Texas and build an AI system, some type of AI chatbot, AI, whatever, then you have to meet a certain level of requirements, right? Your AI has to be set up this way. You can't deploy it this way, right? So it's different. I don't have the full verbiage. Let me study that more and I'll get it to you. But it's certain things for that. But that trigger is just for AI. Texas hasn't necessarily addressed online harm. So social media posts and deepfakes and things like that. They
Okay.
haven't necessarily addressed that.
Okay.
Texas, I mean, California has went a bit deeper on theirs. Theirs do address content, right? So if you're going to post something, you have to make sure that it doesn't defame the person. If you're going to talk about a business, then you need to make sure that that's an actual interaction. So for instance, I can't say, I went to this massage spa and, and they don't offer deep tissue massage. They
Mhm.
massage soft. But if you go to the website, you see that they offer deep tissue massage,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So it's really it's you're saying one thing, but the business does do that. You're not speaking to an experience, you're speaking to what you felt, right?
Yeah.
So that can mean that you are misleading a consumer,
Okay.
right?
Mhm.
Because if I'm looking at your review, I think, oh, well, I'm not really going to go there because I like deep tissue massages. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
So you're misleading. So Texas has a bunch of laws that they've written down that you need to follow. So what I want to do is you and I do this again.
Yeah.
I come back and I go through the state by state laws for you that have been released because I want to give real names
Interesting.
and what they have executed on.
Yeah.
Um, so we could use that. But yes, as far as it almost matches their political place. You
Okay.
think
If they're more
California
liberal
has
or more
gone a little
conservative.
more, yes,
Yeah, yeah. That
and then
totally
Texas would
tracks,
go a little
right?
less.
I think
So,
that what concerns me most about this in terms of making it solvable is that I think underpinning everything is like this is where AI makes things messy. It's like because AI can reproduce and generate believable content in almost any context now. Voice,
yeah,
video, text is
yeah,
easy. That's nothing new. You can make anything look like it's actually happening.
yeah,
Um, so like the whole concept of what is real underpins all of this. Because
mhm,
when you're getting into this type of stuff, this harm protection, so let's say somebody creates a video of somebody and it's completely fabricated.
mhm,
It's so like then you're gonna have this whatever this framework is, it's gonna have to take that into account, whether or not
yeah,
this is real or not real. AI
mhm,
generated, AI modified, or original content.
yeah,
And I don't
and
know how to do that.
the conversations with celebrities come up a lot more because if there's anybody who's more susceptible to impersonation and creating videos from their likeness, it's them, right? I couldn't tell you the number of times I'm on YouTube and somebody comes and say they're Oprah Winfrey or they're Aaron Parnas or you know what I mean. There's certain person saying something, and I don't know if you know him, but his name is Aaron Parnas. But he was having an issue where someone kept setting up fake profiles,
Mhm,
impersonation videos saying that they're him, that he's supporting a certain campaign.
mhm.
And I really was just like, and he online, and I messaged him online, he kept saying, I don't know what to do about this. I keep reporting it to Facebook. He had to take his audience of his millions of followers and tell them to mass report the profiles that were up for
Yeah,
them to even start to take them down.
yeah. Wow.
Why? Why
It's not
is
even
that needed?
well, okay, so and celebrities for sure,
Yeah.
but it goes deeper than that because
Mhm.
the more high profile you get, the more content of you there is to
Yep.
use to manufacture
Yep.
the fake content. I
Yep.
mean, I'm seeing videos of, not like influencer type people, businessy type
Mhm.
people on YouTube that are coming from accounts that are not theirs, and they're
That
like
are not
clearly not
theirs.
legit. Yeah.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
it's like all the time. It's not
Yeah.
just a every once in a while thing.
Yep.
And these
Yep.
aren't people that are like big celebrities. So it probably just gets
Mhm.
worse the more high profile you get, I would
But
think.
you know what that has shown, though, Adair,
Hmm.
in this industry is that I don't know anything else that has been given such freedom and immunity other than social media platforms, right? And with all I don't know,
Well, I don't
you can
know.
name them
Back
to
in the
me, I don't
day,
know.
in the early American history, you should have seen
Mhm.
some of the crazy pamphlets that they published about each other.
Well,
Completely
that's what yeah,
fabricated lies.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
you're
just
right,
the
you're right,
medium was
you're
different. It
right.
was like
Yeah,
paper, because of the
absolutely.
Gutenberg press. So,
Yes.
I
Yeah,
mean, it's kinda happened,
yeah, yeah.
but it was
In a
much
different kind of
harder
way,
to
I get it.
distribute that quickly
Yeah,
to everybody as,
yes,
as
yeah,
internet is.
yeah.
So
So
what did
it's
we
it's
do
been
then?
yeah, what did we do? Is honestly, when you think about it, nothing, right? Like nothing. People were screaming out then. People
We
were
should
screaming out then.
Well, maybe we should go back and research the first libel and defamation cases. Maybe that's when
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm I just think it's crazy that we have to become so educated on all this now just to kind of
Mhm.
navigate the world we're in. But it's
Yep,
fun
yep.
too for us, kind of nerdy people. So,
Yeah, it is. I never knew I'd be into policy like
yeah.
this now since I'm learning about policy, right? And
Yeah.
maybe that's what it took. Maybe that's what it took, is 30 years of absolute immunity from anything,
Yeah.
just unchecked power.
Yeah.
And this is what it's turned into, you
Yeah.
know?
Maybe so.
And it's a lot more, it's becoming, and I'm glad, I'm so happy that parents are fighting back and parents are screaming out loud to say,
Mhm.
you know, how you need to get a handle on this, right? If I give my child a phone, I don't want someone coming up and talking to them. Who, like, what the, you know? So I'm excited about the lane. I'm excited about the industry. I'm excited that there even is a level of accountability on the horizon
Yeah.
um, that's happening. I'm happy to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And change is hard, obviously,
Yeah.
but it has to happen, right? We're at a time that it has to happen. It has to happen fast.
Yeah.
So,
And I
especially in this country.
For sure, and I think
Yeah.
historically we're right on track because I'm pretty sure without researching my facts that we had the same thing with car and road safety happen in this
Yeah.
country. We had the same thing with like factory workers and children being
Hmm.
allowed in harm and safety in factories and those
Hmm.
types of things. It's very like it's very fitting for our country and how we deal
Yeah.
with things. Like we wait till we have a
Yeah.
really big problem and then we try to tackle it.
Yep. Then
So we're right on
that
schedule.
reminds me of gun laws and guns and
Mm,
things like that
yeah.
is we wait till there are a number of crises, just crisis after crisis, till
Yeah.
we start thinking about, well, should everybody be walking around with a gun?
Yeah. It's
You
very
know?
American, very American.
Yeah, it's very American, and like I said, it's one of the things that I guess I really didn't pay attention to it until I got into this field where I was like, wow,
Yeah.
I didn't pay attention to freedom of speech and freedom of expression like that and how so passionate
Yeah.
people are about it until I got in this field. And then I realized that people's interpretation was a bit jacked up
Okay.
and you get tunnel vision based on no, I don't want to talk about it. First Amendment, nope. 230, it gives me my right to talk. It gives me the right, to do.
Yeah.
But you don't think about the other side of it
Yeah.
until it starts to affect your world,
Yeah.
affect your. And then now, when I go and put on presentations and I have this conversation and I'm talking about Section 230, people immediately go, "Okay, yeah, freedom of speech. Yeah, that works. I'm good with that policy." And then when I talk about the other side, they go, "Wait, hold on now. Okay. I didn't know.
The
I
double-edged
didn't
sword.
know. Yeah, yeah. I didn't know they were getting freedom of everything that they aren't,
It's
they
just
aren't
a
in trouble
blank
for
check.
anything." Yeah. And
Yeah.
I always tell people, I said, go online, and go look in comments. Just go read comments.
Oh,
You'll see.
ugh. Yeah.
Go read, you see the comments. They
Yeah.
don't care because they've been hands off
Yeah.
for so long, you know, but it
So
affects you.
totally. So if you circle back to the review mediator and the future of
Mhm.
your business and how
Yeah.
everything's kind of shifting for you, what do you foresee like your role in it and your business's role in it being?
Um, I really hope I tell you, all my life of there, I've been called a mediator. My father used to say that all the
Are
time.
you a
You're
middle
always
child?
this. I'm not a bit, I'm
Okay.
number six. I'm number
Okay.
six, but
All right.
I've always been like that since a
Yeah.
child, where I'm always in the middle of trying to make people happy and y'all get together, whatever.
Yeah.
But
So fitting.
yeah, so I see my role as that, as offering a different way to look at this problem,
Mm,
but offering the solution to help us tackle this problem. To
mhm.
say we don't all have to, and I see that all the time in conflict, is that you we're so prideful, everybody's so prideful. I gotta say, if you talk to legislators, they'll tell you in a minute, we're not doing what the EU's doing, we're not doing what the UK's doing. We're America, proud.
Yeah.
But they can't step out of the proudness to see that we can put a framework together that serves both things,
Yeah.
right? And I mean that on the simplest terms. People want the freedom to be able to go online and talk about how horrible of a landlord they've had. And you have the right to do that,
Sure.
right? But then that's the other side, is if you put this landlord online, right? Say you put his picture up, not just his name.
Mhm.
Guess what the internet's going to do? They're
Mm.
going to find this man. They're going
Yep.
to track him down. They're going to harass him,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And they may go as far as harming him. So how far do we allow this to go? There
Yeah.
can be a middle ground. And that's why I see, to answer your question, that's why I see um, this company is creating the framework to provide that middle ground for digital online harm, giving people the opportunity and a pathway to resolve issues that are affecting them online,
Mm.
and then giving tech platforms a way to show good faith that we are actively working to be open to cleaning up our internet and saving protecting the people who decide to put their lives, their personal lives on our platforms. Because without us, they don't thrive
Yeah.
at all. If we
No.
decide to get off their platforms, they don't have a platform,
Yeah.
right?
So
And
true.
we're that close. We're that close. Because
Mhm.
parents are looking at parents will tell you today, you go look in Japan and China and all them, they don't even put their kids on it. Another country just shut it down altogether.
Who?
I forgot who that was, but
Okay.
another country just shut down social media altogether for their children.
Wow.
They can't access it, right?
Wow. Yeah.
There's no way in the world America is thinking of doing something like that. But if we're not
No,
thinking like that,
not as a
we have to get
country.
closer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But you've
not as
heard
a
and I've
country.
heard lots of parents, and this is something I wish I had done, but I didn't understand what was happening with the algorithms at the time my daughter was going through that,
Yeah.
like, early teen years,
Mhm.
and how negatively she was affected by Instagram. She's one of those kids.
Yeah.
But, I've heard a lot of parents holding off and not giving their kids smartphones until 16 plus,
Yep. Yep.
or giving them a
I
smartphone,
plan to do
trying
it.
to keep them off of platforms, but that becomes a
Yep.
whole 'nother problem, enforcement, because the
It
kids
does.
typically know how to work around whatever solutions and preventions the
Yeah.
parents try to put in place on those devices, and
Mhm.
there's always tools that they can find out there to do that, so
Yeah.
it's a whole thing, but at
For
least
us,
yeah.
but we're not controlled by that type of thing. Works better in another country
Mhm.
because in America, we're more of an open source,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Very
So
true.
you can take a phone and go get on the internet anywhere you want. You know
Or
what I
use
mean?
a
Driving
private
down the street and
VPN
connect to, or use a
and
private
bypass.
VPN.
Yeah,
But in
exactly.
other countries, which what I hear again from Congress and legislators is that they don't want to become the country that controls every aspect of their people's lives, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, I don't
we
wanna
don't
be
want
a
to
subject to
create
that
a,
either.
yeah, right. You see what I'm saying?
I know,
So
I know.
so for us,
Yeah.
other countries don't have a choice,
Yeah.
right? This
Mhm.
is what we say. This is the law we put in place. You listen, you follow, and shut the hell up.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know what I mean? But
Yeah.
that is what kind of makes this country great, is that we have a choice in the matter, right? If I don't want to put my child on social media, I have the choice to say, I'm not giving my child a phone. They won't be on social media. But if I do and I don't want to follow along with everybody else and I feel like my child needs a little more freedom, I can do that.
Yeah.
So we have to be able to come to the table and find some type of common ground, middle ground that partly because not everybody's going to be satisfied, satisfies us to get on this, get to a place where we have a healthy internet, right? We have a healthy
Yeah.
um, thing around this. So
Yeah. I totally agree.
that's where I see the review mediator going is my hope is that we become the framework for the American, at least for the American internet
Yeah.
um, and policies around that.
Well, I
So
love your adaptability because and that's
yeah,
the name of the game in business, right? It's like
yeah,
adapting to things that are changing. And now with AI,
yeah,
everything is changing.
everything.
And we're just trying to figure it out as we go. And it's so fast and it's just accelerating now that we're in this
Hmm.
recursive self improvement phase,
Yep.
AKA the singularity. Have you heard that term
Yeah.
yet? Yeah. Wild. Well, I've really enjoyed our conversation. So you want to do
Me
another
too.
round and talk about state stuff at some point, huh?
Yeah, let's
Well,
get it out there.
yeah.
I'm fine with that. Let me I know it. I want to study it a bit more so that I can, feed it to the people whoever's looking at it so they get the right information and they
Yeah,
understand what it means and what it affects and things
totally.
like that. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm definitely open to that. So
Well, I always enjoy our conversations and I always learn a ton.
yeah,
You and I try and catch up
yeah.
every so often. How many years
Yeah.
ago did we meet? It was like at a Tech Fort Worth event, right?
Gotta be almost 3 years ago. Yeah.
At
Tech
least.
Fort Worth.
At least.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Have you been to any of their recent
I
events?
haven't.
Okay.
No. You know what's funny? You met my sister first. You
Uh-huh.
and my sister were talking, and
Okay.
then you and I just kind of said a few things to each other before we left. But
Yeah. I know. It's so funny how that works
but
out.
yeah, so yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been good. How things been going for you?
Good. Really good.
Yeah.
Really busy.
Yeah.
Like I said, AI is taking over everything. So
Yeah.
I spend girl, the other day I was using 4 AI tools at once, and I'm not kidding. That was like
Okay.
and I'm just orchestrating them and monitoring and prompting and, like moving the
Uh-huh.
responses to the next thing, and I'm also trying to get to the point where I can build my agents and I don't have to do the middleman stuff
Hmm.
as much, but,
Hmm.
there's only so many hours in a day.
Yeah. Have you been using Perplexity?
No, but,
Okay.
you hear that over and over and over. The AIs like to talk about perplexity them like, all the time. Have you?
Okay. Cause yeah, yeah. I heard a guy, I was at an event and he said, man, Perplexity is the best research tool out there.
Okay.
And I thought to myself, I've been to Perplexity and I haven't really messed it. I said, I need to use it as a research tool. If that's what it's for, then let me start using it as a research tool. And it's been pretty good.
Are you
It's
doing
been
side
pretty
by side
good.
comparisons, though?
I am. I
Okay.
do chat, Claude, Perplexity. I was messing around with Manus, but you know which one is Manus?
I've heard of it.
Facebook's,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah.
okay.
I bounce
Yeah.
back and forth between, like, Claude and ChatGPT are my 2 main ones,
Uh-huh,
but then sometimes it might be the actual tools native AI that I'm utilizing too. But what I'm looking at now are, context management systems. Have you heard of this term yet?
nope.
So, as of now, and this could change, the the quality of your output with all of your AI tools is pure
Uh-huh,
context. It's how much context you give it every time you're looking for something,
okay.
okay?
Yeah,
So, like, let's say you have a super long conversation with chat, and, sometimes it kinda, like, starts losing the script of where you started and what you wanted it to do.
uh-huh,
Okay, so that's due to something called token limits. There's a token limit per session. And basically, what happens is it can only hold so many tokens at any given time, and it starts trimming stuff off to maintain that number. So that's why it kind of forgets. So what I've started
mhm,
doing is stopping and like exporting context, like in a .md file or a document at some point, and then reusing it. But these tools do that for you, and you can switch back and
okay.
forth between platforms.
Huh,
So anyways, I'll let you
That's
know when I
interesting.
have a little bit more information on that.
Please, yes, please. That'll be
Useful,
that'll
right?
be awesome. Yes, for
'Cause
sure. Absolutely.
that also lets you, like, so all these AIs are in an arms race, right? Like, one week,
Mhm,
one releases this that's amazing, and next week it's another one. So, like, you
mhm,
wanna be able to switch to the latest and greatest. So
mhm.
this
Yes,
this
you
type
do.
of thing
Yes.
lets you do that, supposedly. So,
Okay.
that's where I'm at.
Awesome. Well, let me get these kids out of here
Yep.
and
Thank you for your
let
time.
me know.
It
Yes,
was
and
so good
listen,
to see you.
I trust you with the edit. If you want to sling
But
something my way, do so. But let's link back up.
I think we did great, and I couldn't tell that you had kiddos bouncing around at all.